All right, today we're here to talk about the miter saw. Miter saw is used to cut long pieces of wood like this 2x4 I'm holding right here. Never use the miter saw to cut foam or metal. It's only made for wood. This is the miter saw right here. When you operate the miter saw, you're going to want to use the trigger, which is right here, and you're going to be pushing down on the piece of wood that you want to cut. These wing boards right here are useful for holding your wood. You can push against the wing board to secure the wood while you're cutting it. As far as dimensions go, your piece of wood should be narrower than 6 inches and longer than 12 inches, so that way you'll have something to hold on to while you're cutting it. All right, now I'm going to demonstrate how to cut the wood. Before I start, I make sure that I have my left hand securely placed on the wood, holding it right there. My right hand is on the trigger, and I don't have any hands in the red zone. Making sure to stay clear of the red zone. All right, here I go. Might be a little loud. Now we're going to talk about some strategies for cutting on the miter saw. Now you can see right here I have my board marked off in 3 different spots. Now when I'm going to go cut on the miter saw, what I don't want to do is I don't want to cut this mark first. What I want to do is progressively go from mark 1, 2, 3 and cut up this way, so that way as I'm making those cuts I always have enough room to hold the board on the long side of the board. The problem is a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll make this cut first and then they don't have anywhere to hold this board to make those last 2 cuts, and that's where you get yourself into trouble. All right, now I want to talk about blade thickness a little bit. You notice I've already unplugged the saw here, so it's okay for me to touch it. If you notice right here that this blade is about 1/16 of an inch thick, that's going to make an effect when I cut on this piece of wood I have right here, just because the 1/16 of an inch is actually going to take away about 1/8 inch of material. I can show you this cut that I've already made right here on this piece of wood, and you can sort of see right here how this cut has already taken away a good amount of material. That's something to consider. This board is exactly 20 inches long. One of the things that I need to know is I'm not going to get 2 identically 10-inch pieces of wood out of this 20-inch piece, because I'm going to lose about 1/8 of an inch on that saw cut right there. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about using a stop block for when you're making cuts on the miter saw. And you can see right here I've already set up my stop block. I have a C-clamp and a block of wood clamped to the wing board right here. I got this C-clamp hanging on the wall behind me right here. That's what this C-clamp is used for. The way a stop block is useful is that I can make multiple cuts of the same length. So what I can do is I get this board of wood right here and I can slide it up against my wing board, push it backwards against the stop block and make a cut. And then what I can do is I can take another piece of wood, same exact thing, slide it up against the stop block, make another cut. This way all my cuts are going to be the same exact length because I'm using the same exact measurement. This way I don't have to pull out the tape measure every time, make a measurement. Oh, it might be off by 1/8 inch, 1/16 of an inch. This way it's always the same exact length every time. Now I'm going to show you how to make an angle cut on the miter saw. The first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to move the saw into a 45-degree position. I'm going to unlock the base plate with this handle. I'm going to flip these little tabs upwards, and now the base of the saw is free to move around. I come over here to the 45 degrees. Once I find 45 degrees right here, I lock it down, lock those little tabs down too, bring the board over, and the rest of this is just like a normal cut. I'm going to make sure to keep my hands out of the red zone, left hand securing the board away from the saw, and you use the right hand, bring the saw down, and I'm going to squeeze the trigger and cut right through this. And just like that, we got a perfect 45-degree angle. All right, now we're going to talk about what to do if your board is too wide to cut on a normal miter saw. This board right here, it's going to be between 6 and 12 inches. That's the proper width for cutting on this sliding saw right here. You want to make sure your board is still longer than 12 inches, and you can proceed normally as with the other miter saw. The only difference with this saw is that it slides out before you cut it. So when you're cutting this board, you want to make sure you follow the motion of pulling the saw outward, coming all the way down with it, and then following through with your cut. Now I'm going to do a demonstration for you, and you can basically do it just the way I do. Come out, push down. And see, now that's how I cut a board that's too wide. Now on the other hand, you might have a board that's too short. Now this board is too short because it's less than 12 inches long, and you can't cut it on a typical miter saw. This right here is the short saw. This saw is a little bit smaller. It also has shorter wing boards, and it comes with a push stick, which is very important for keeping your hands out of the red zone. So in this instance, I'm going to put the push stick right here, and I'm going to bring the saw down as is normal, and I'm going to just do a little demonstration for you and cut this board. Just like that, perfect cut every time.